Is there anything that you're hoping to accomplish tonight as far as like your dreams and your hopes are concerned?
Letting go. Can't even really elaborate on that, just letting go.
Welcome to Mostly Minutia. I'm Colleen Lindell. Last year in October, when this podcast was just a mere figment, I was skimming Facebook one day and saw an ad for the RiSE Lantern Festival, the first ever lantern festival celebrated in the United States. And I'm not talking paper lanterns that sit on the ground lining a walkway. I'm talking R2-D2-sized giant capsules of light floating up into the night sky. And I found myself having a very real Liz Lemon thought. I want to go to there. And so I did. I went to there. I grabbed my microphone and my hoodie, and I set out to capture the stories of what brought 12,000 people out into the desert. Our stories begin on the dry bed at the entrance with Stephanie. Stephanie had wanted to go to RiSE with her friends, but they had been too busy. So she decided to come on her own as a volunteer. Just a few notes for those who aren't familiar with dry beds. They are exactly what they sound like. A dirt ground out in the desert with no vegetation in sight. Secondly, I did a maraud of research on RiSE in search of the fearless leader and was surprised when I found nothing. And now, with that in mind, here's Stephanie. Is there anything about because I know that this is all about like igniting hopes and dreams, and so I was wondering, is there anything for you personally that, does that affect you in any way?
Well, I didn't plan it this way, but my ex-fiance is getting married tonight, and it's a wonderful time in his life, and I'm really happy for him that he's moving on, and so I kind of need to move on too. And it was my choice, and so again, not to get too personal here, but it's kind of one of those nights for renewal and for the next step for me in my life. So I'm glad I'm here by myself. I'm glad I'm surrounded by such incredible people and can really focus on letting some things go tonight.
Do you feel like there's a spiritual aspect of this for you personally, like internally?
I do. I feel like, sometimes when we, physically do something, we can allow it to manifest something. So even though we are just letting lanterns go into the sky, I really, truly believe that if we believe we're letting certain things go that we're ready to let go of or to send out into the universe, even if it's not trying to let go of something, it's just trying to send good things into the universe. I really believe that if we believe it enough, it'll happen.
As I started to thank Stephanie for sharing her intimate story with me, I noticed a young guy standing off to the side. He seemed like he had something to say, so I decided to reach out. So what is your name and where are you from?
My name is Michael Grumma. I'm from Las Vegas.
And are you originally from Las Vegas?
I was born in Denver, but grew up here in Vegas.
Okay, cool. So, and how did you find out about this event?
One of my friends actually invited me via Facebook. It sold out, so I just kind of came as a volunteer.
What is it about this festival that attracted you to it?
It was really interesting kind of seeing like the lanterns, especially on their website. I thought it'd be a really great opportunity to get a little bit of self-discovery from everything and just kind of put myself out there.
Are you going to write on your lantern or?
Well, really it's kind of a wish. I wanted to be a fort of realized dreams, kind of send that up in the air. And I really think that like noting that on the lantern is a really kind of a cool perspective to be able to let it off.
Well, but what's your wish? Or can you not say?
Well, the wish is really kind of like having a fort of realized dreams. So having a fort of realized dreams is really to kind of like live a life that's fulfilling and that you don't want to like look back and see like I should have done that or I should have done that or been there or something like that.
In your opinion, when is it important to realize a dream and to let a dream go? What is the scale of that for you? Like, how do you know when to say, you know what, this is actually not priority for me, but this is?
I think you have to let that rest in a little bit of intuition. You kind of like have to do that analysis at different points in your life and kind of see like where life leads you, because sometimes in life things are going to take you like some direction that you might have not thought of, but doing those little things now are going to like build up and be able to like really set you for like what you're really meant to do.
It's obvious to me now when I listen to this that I seriously was missing Michael's point when he said his wish was for a realized dreams. I get it now. A realized dreams is like what Michael said, dreams coming to fruition, dreams being birthed into reality, hence the realization of dreams and not living in regret. And so I think this is a very hopeful wish, and I thank you, Michael, for sharing this with me. As I was walking into the festival, I came across white, three-dimensional life-size letters that said, RiSE. Hundreds of people were standing around snapping photos in front of them when a man walked up to me. His name was Marshall. Marshall began to excitedly tell me of his brother-in-law Joe's plan to propose to his girlfriend Desiree, and he encouraged me to go talk with Joe. So this is your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Can I ask you what it is that you're going to do here tonight at RiSE?
I am going to propose to my girlfriend tonight.
And how long have you had this plan for?
Since they announced RiSE, I planned out, I pretty much saw it as an opportunity. I have a group of her friends coming. She has no idea that they're going to be here. Some of them are probably like hiding in the background already, so it's pretty exciting right now.
Okay, so they're basically going to come out of the woodwork?
Yeah, I like the first lighting, everyone lights at 7:30, right? Because there's a schedule. At 7:40, it's a free-for-all, so at that time, I'm going to have them gather. I'm going to wave them in. She's going to turn around, see them go crazy, and then I'm going to give my little speech. And
I wanted to ask you why at this event and not a different event?
I don't know. I just thought this would be really special, you know? Just seeing the lanterns in the sky, picked a pretty romantic moment and a pretty memorable night. So I think altogether it'll just be a perfect setting, you know?
I think it's fair to say that you've nailed this.
Thank you.
But good luck. How are you feeling right now?
Excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see how her friends are going to react. Oh, I mean how she's going to react to her friends. So it'll be pretty amazing.
And what's your name, by the way, and where are you from?
Joe from San Jose.
Cool. Thanks, Joe. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
After talking with Joe, I felt I had a new pep in my step. Something I didn't mention was that before coming to the festival, I had been feeling nervous, almost insecure, wondering whether or not people would want to talk with me, or even if I would be able to ask questions that would provoke conversation. But after talking with Joe, I became resolute. There was purpose in me being there. People do have stories to share, some in the making right at this moment. But all this still didn't settle my main question. Who is the fearless leader of RiSE? Can I ask you guys why you're coming? This is for my podcast I have. And I'm Colleen, by the way.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Where are you guys from?
Utah.
Well, what brought you guys here today?
New beginnings, to let go, to have fun.
How did you hear about it?
This girl.
How did you hear about it?
Wesley Christensen, the person that started it.
Okay, that is a huge question for me. I was scouring the internet trying to find out who is the leader of this whole entire thing, and I couldn't find it, so you know.
That's who it is. That's who I heard about it, through her Instagram.
Okay. And her name is what?
Wesley Christensen.
Okay, I know you heard it. Wesley Christensen. Hearing this name was like finding gold, and I was covered in gold dust. I tucked Wesley's name into my mind and my recorder, and I walked into the festival grounds. All I could see were these white corridors, which I later found out were restrooms, white tents where you could order food and drink, and then these gigantic, tall, white pillars. I realized they were light installations, and as the sun began to set, they gave off a mellow glow of violet and rose and periwinkle. There were no signs in the entire place, only infographics. And then, my favorite part, there were thousands of torches, all positioned in what I consider to be the coolest crop circle ever. If you are immediately interested in seeing this, you can go to my website, colleenlindell.com. Each torch marked a spot, and each spot had a yoga mat and 2 lanterns. I nonchalantly made my way over to my torch and noticed a young woman and a man I assumed was her father. They were sitting a few torches away, and the young woman was earnestly drawing and writing on her lantern. The girl's name is Kirsten, and the man is her stepfather, Gabriel. Kirsten told me that in 2013, her mother passed away, and as a remembrance, she and her family and friends all wrote on balloons and let them go in the sky. She said when she found out about RiSE, she knew she had to come, and she bought tickets and told her stepfather, "We're going." I asked her about her drawing.
I have a thing about words, so most of it's words. But it's got two people kind of hugging each other because it says together we rise. So I have like together we rise above the ashes, together we rise to the challenges, together we rise above the pain kind of thing.
You actually have drawn two people embracing. Who is that?
Just people, you know, it's about togetherness. It's about like this. It's about coming together. They're coming together.
Are there other experiences in your life where you feel like people are coming together?
Yeah, within our family, it's a bunch of people who aren't actually related, but we've come together and we've made our own family.
What have you guys had to do this last year in order to rise above the pain?
At the time of her passing, we didn't live near each other. I still lived in Monterey Bay. He lived here. Part of it was we came together here. And from there, we've built a basis with new friends and, like I said, new family members. And that's what's kind of helped fill that void, but the void will never be completely full. We have to find a new normal. We're getting there. Slowly, but we're getting there.
Welcome to RiSE. This has been a kind of a crazy event, and I'm gonna try really hard not to get emotional because I haven't slept it's been a while.
This is Dan Hill, another name I found through talking with people. He's an event organizer and played a huge role in RiSE.
I had the opportunity to travel out to Thailand to help with a Lantern Festival a year ago. We've been working on this for about a year, went and participated in one in Chiang Mai a year ago. And I've been doing events for a long time, but I've never experienced anything like that event. And the two thoughts I had were, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And the second thought was I just wasted a year because there's no possible way to pull this off in the United States. But we've worked incredibly hard for a year, and it turns out we were able to figure it out. Thanks. And I cannot thank enough the Bureau of Land Management. We looked all over the country for I don't even know how long, and we found this lake bed. It turned out to be owned by the federal government, which, you know, made us a little bit nervous for a minute about how hard it was going to be to permit. And we met some just incredible people over at the BLM who immediately caught the vision of this event and wanted to help us make it a success. I just want to thank them. They felt like part of our family, and it wouldn't have been possible without their faith and their professionalism and their devotion. So could we please give them a round of applause for helping us bring this to the United States? What was incredible was we've been just flooded with emails and Facebook posts and Instagram posts for every cause under the sun. And we've had 5 people ask if they can get married here tonight. We turned them down. We thought this is about inclusion, but we do know there's 12 people proposing tonight that we know of. Not to, so you women out there, I'm sure it's your man. Look longingly at him right now. We've got, you know, everything from people that have lost jobs that are coming to kind of pray and hope for better times, and we've got people that are here to celebrate new careers and new hope and new opportunity. We were thinking about, you know, when you walk through life every day, you pass people on the street that you don't know if they're in their highest part of their life or the lowest part of their life, but one of the beautiful things about life is that we can all have joy and we can all love together and we can all share together and have these wonderful moments together. And, you know, I think this is going to be something different to everybody, but at the moment, that's what it is to me. We're all going to do the same thing, and we're going to send these sky lanterns up, and they're going to be absolutely beautiful. One of the great guys we've been working with at BLM is a guy named is Joel. I won't say his last name, but he taught me a new word the last 6 months. It's called ignition source. We're going to have tonight 20,000 flying ignition sources. Once they're in the air, they're going to fly for about 4 minutes, hot. They're going to burn for 4 minutes. The lanterns we've designed, they're going to be cold within 10 seconds of burning out. So that means when they come down, they're not going to be hot at all. There's no risk of wildfire. And we're going to clean up every last one of them, as well as other trash we find, and leave this better than we found it. It takes about 2 or 3 people to light a sky lantern. And if it's a little bit breezy, I definitely recommend trying to get at least 3 people. If it's breezy, bring the sky lantern down to the ground, kind of create a human shield, and let that thing fill with air. It's going to take at minimum 2 minutes once your fuel cell is ignited to completely fill the sky lantern with enough hot air to release. And we want this first release to be in unison. Just one last thing, and then I'm going to we'll get on with the evening. But we got a little bit of a backup on I-15. We really want everyone to experience this, so I do appreciate your patience. We want as many people as possible to get in here so they can get the full show, and then we're going to do the release around 8:15.
While Dan was introducing the fest, I had the pleasure of meeting a few more of my torch neighbors. Erin and her 2 friends, Micah and Steven, were directly in front of me. That morning, Erin had been kidnapped and unknowingly brought out to the desert. So I asked her to explain. What has happened to you to bring you here into the desert tonight?
It's kind of a fun story, at least I think it is. We have a group of friends that basically create a birthday list for every birthday that they turn. They make X amount of items, kind of a to-do list, so people stop saying, one day I'm going to do that, and it helps us all just to kind of do things, live life, be in the moment. And our kind of group of about 10 friends, we all help each other and find things and say, hey, you should do this on a list item or whatnot. Well, letting go of paper lantern was on my birthday list item this year, and my best friend found this and just looked at me on Wednesday and said, you need to get Saturday off. Okay. And he gave it with no explanation.
And that is Micah. Micah's your best friend. And Micah, so you just told her.
I said, we're leaving at noon. You don't get to ask where. You just need to trust me. We're going. We're getting in a car. It's outdoors. That's all I can tell you, so dress accordingly. And blind trust, blind faith. She knew that we'd be doing something that both of us would enjoy, and we'd have a blast doing it. And here we are. She didn't know until we walked 10 feet into the actual festival facility itself, and the tears started flowing from there.
Now, I have to know, how are you guys friends?
We are actually, believe it or not, a Craigslist success story. We're roommates that we found each other on Craigslist, and we passed session number 1 that we didn't kill each other. And we were supposed to have a 15-minute interview the very first day that I met her, and I ended up staying for 4.5 hours, and we poured our heart and souls into each other, and we've lived together for 6.5 years since.
So you guys have a lot in common?
Absolutely. We have a lot in common, but just enough not in common to keep each other interested.
So I need to know what is it about letting paper lanterns out into the sky? What is that? What draws you to that?
The beauty of it, that it's so light that it's almost ethereal. And when you see it, like, I've YouTubed it and been like, wow, there's people that are out there and they participate in these kinds of things. And it's something that, as a kid growing up in Fresno, it wasn't in my purview. It was just, all right. But then I moved away and believed in adventure, and then found Micah and found this amazing group of friends that just said, let's go try something new, and blind faith that said, let's try it. Worst that can go happen is it's horrible and we never do it again. The best that can happen is it's amazing, and then we remember it for the rest of our lives.
And your group of friends sounds pretty cool.
We are.
I mean, the fact that you guys help each other, you guys already help each other realize each other's dreams through your birthday wish lists.
I mean, we get to be selfish in the fact that, we get to do the events too. So, not only do I get to do everything on my 29 items on my list, but I get to do all the items on her 22 items on her list, because that's how old she is. And then I get to do 25 items on Matt's list. And so at the end of the year, there's a potential of 75 new experiences that we've never experienced before, and that's exciting. And it's cool to do stuff alone, but it's better to do stuff with friends, and you get to talk about it, and it's more stories, and it's more experiences, and laughter, and it's just better experience with the people around you. So if we can encourage each other to get stuff done and check them off the list, that's always the key.
And Erin, I was actually curious, because you said that tonight you're probably going to be releasing some tears.
Absolutely. October is very important to me. I am a breast cancer survivor, so this is a very special time of the year for me. I just got my all clear from the doctor, so I got my 7-year thumbs up. So it's things like that. It's things with, moving in a new direction in a career, possibly. It's, jumping in, leap in the net will appear, having the faith to be able to try something new and dip your toe into the water. So a lot of that stuff is, symbolic, but it also, there's stuff that I know it's going to mean a lot to me. I know it means a lot to my friends that know me, that hear my stories, that we go out for coffee and talk about all of these things. So it's kind of a full circle type thing, especially to be out here with a bunch of strangers that are writing their hopes and dreams at the same time. So it's kind of a connector to a bigger thing when the world is telling you that we're going to hell in a handbasket and, there's a problem with anything out there, and just to have this moment, just go for right now at this exact moment, everything is okay. And that's a good thing. It's a real good thing.
Congratulations on getting yours. What is it called? It's a 7-year clearance? Is that what they say?
I just got my 7-year clearance. I had breast cancer. But it was kind of, I never, as each year went on, it was always a celebration, but there's always something in the back of your mind. It's cancer. I wasn't in control of it. I wasn't in charge of it. But then hearing the doctor sit me down and say, it's in my professional medical opinion, you are officially cured. And to hear that, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. So having things like that and realize there's things bigger than me, but I also have just as much opportunity to get out there and keep living and not be scared.
And Micah, for you, did you have anything like inside of you that you're hoping to, or like any hopes and dreams that you've been?
I've got 2. We've each been given 2 lanterns. So one of them is sort of hopes and dreams and things that I want, and one of them is going to be demons that I need to release. And that's kind of a cool thing, is that, you have the ability to kind of set it out there for the universe, but you also have things that, are on your shoulders and they're on your back, and it can be cathartic, and I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to write them on there, and they're going to, go up in flames and go away and be gone from my life. So hopefully I don't have to deal with them anymore. And that's definitely, another side of the coin that I'm really looking forward to and kind of use today as a starting point.
Again, you look around at all these people, all the ages, race, ethnicities, everything out here, and everybody's got something. And I would probably say half the people here are ready to release something, and half the people are ready to accept something. So it's not a bad deal. It's not a bad deal. Just reminds us you're not alone.
There's also something very, very interesting about the connection. Like, as much as it's an individual thing, it's very connection, it's very, community-based, but we're also in the middle of the Mojave Desert where there is no cell phone reception. You can't post, you can't chat, you can't Instagram, you can't do anything. It's about you, it's about the people, it's about the community, it's about everything that's entirely about you. And guess what? The world is waiting for you on the bus when we get back on there. And just an opportunity to just disconnect from everything and everyone except the people that you're here with that are important to you, and the people that are around you that are here for the same purpose. And that kind of community it will allow for, this kind of release and this kind of opportunity.
It's cool.
All right, guys, let's light them up. Light your ground torches. Wait just a minute on your lanterns.
Guys,
this is looking good.
Okay. Oh, this is so cool! Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Man, I wish you could see what we're seeing.
It's gonna be on YouTube. I've waited a long time for this.
Okay, hold on. Don't let your sky lanterns yet.
Okay.
Okay, guys, let's do it. Let's light those sky lanterns.
Okay.
Hold on to them, though. Don't release until we give you the cue.
I walk over to take some photos of Kirsten and Gabriel, who are patiently and serenely lighting their lantern. They both seem to be in a peaceful, meditative state. I then walk over to Erin. Micah and Stephen have gathered around to help Erin light her lantern. She's smiling and tears are rolling down her cheeks.
Oh my God, I have to wipe my tears.
"45 seconds. Wait. You can wait. Just wait." 30 seconds. Hold on, guys. Don't let him go yet. We want to do it all at once. We got 15 seconds. You guys ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Watching this first release of lanterns go up into the sky is truly a sight to behold. Thousands of lights rising simultaneously, some taking flight easier than others. Some people lying on the ground, some sitting, most people just standing in awe. At one point, Micah and Aaron came over to my torch. They made me put down my microphone and helped me light my lantern. And I felt surprised to feel what I felt. In 2012, my aunt had taken her life. And as a way of honoring her, I decided to write her name on the top of my lantern. And then on all four sides, I wrote each person's name in my family. I hadn't planned on releasing anything at the festival. My only thought was dedication. But as I stood with Micah and Aaron, holding this giant lantern, letting it fill with hot air, the lantern began to beg for release. The lantern became like a living being, and it brought me back to the feelings of having to say goodbye to my aunt when I wasn't ready, and I began to cry. And I decided that even though my desire is to keep my aunt, that I would simply let her go. And I found myself saying out loud, "I release you." And then I released my lantern.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Colleen, how you doing?
Yay! So, you got that recording of what you told me at RiSE.
Yeah, I got it.
So you laid out your plan, but I was wondering if you can tell me what actually happened that night. How did it all go down?
Oh, yeah, sure. It was all planned out, hiding her friends within the crowd. Of course, we had to wait for the sunset to happen. Finally, night fell, and we were about to begin the initial ceremony, and everyone's going to let the lanterns go together, right? They had the big old countdown, and everyone lit their lanterns. It flew off in the sky. The first wave went, and then the second wave was just like a free-for-all, right? Like, go ahead, light all your lanterns if you want at any pace you want. I was like, okay, got to give it some time, let it sit in a little bit, enjoy the moment, and then her friends started getting a little bit closer, and I was telling them to hold back a little bit because I was making sure that she wasn't facing that way. And so I gave her a hug, and I was talking to her, and I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Look how beautiful the sky looks. And I was saying, oh, you know how awesome it would be if your friends were here to enjoy this. like Johanna and Lily, they're like, yeah, that would be cool if they would have come. And that was like her response. It was like, whatever. She's like, well, we're here. And then I look in the distance, and I'm waving at her best friend in Johanna, and I'm like, oh, wait, is that Johanna right there? And then she was like, shut up, whatever. No, and then I'm like, no, serious, look, there's Johanna right there. And then Johanna comes out within the crowd, and she's just looking at her like puzzled, like, what is going on? Is that really her? And then she just waterworks from there, falling out. She's like, what are you doing here? Like, even when she started seeing her friends come in one by one, she was just in shock. Like, she started screaming, like when she saw Lily, and then she saw her other friend Rocket that was from LA. And then she was like, what are you guys doing here? And then she was just crying. And then it didn't really strike her that, this moment was going to happen. So after she, greeted all her friends, gives all her hugs, wiped the tears off her face, I grabbed her hand, and, I looked at her, and I was like, Des, you know what? I love you. We came out here to, share this moment with friends and family, and we're here to write our hopes and wishes and dreams on these lanterns and let it go. And I was like, I only have one wish tonight. I got on my knee, and then I asked her to marry me.
What was her reaction?
Are you okay over there?
Oh my God! It made me have a tear come to my eye.
Her reaction was, it's not a Giants game, because she's a huge SF Giants fan, and she was like, if you propose to me, it's got to be on the big screen of the Giants game. I was like, whatever, who cares? But she's like, it's not a Giants game. And then she gave me the nod, and then she said yes, and then I put the ring on her, and then everyone started cheering, and then that was the end of that.
Oh my gosh! How long before you guys decided on a date?
We decided on a date, I think the next day, actually. We were like, well, September is kind of like our month. Like, our anniversary was in September, and then the wedding's going to happen Labor Day weekend in September. Oh, yeah, and on top of that, our daughter was born on September, too. So.
Oh, I didn't realize you guys were parents.
Yeah. We have she's going to be 2 in September.
Wow. What's her name?
My daughter's name is Sloan.
That's a cool name. I have always liked that name. I heard it in a movie once when I was a kid.
Must have been Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes!
Joe and I talked for a while. He and his beautiful now wife, Desiree, were married just this past Labor Day weekend, and their daughter Sloan is now 2 years old. Congratulations, Joe. It was so nice to meet you. And thank you, Marshall, for randomly coming over and including me in on the fun. As the night was coming to a close, there were just a few people left, lighting off the last of their lanterns. I gathered my things, my torch neighbors long gone, and I decided to make my way out of the desert.
I haven't seen too many kids tonight. I kind of wish I had seen more kids so I could interview them. That's okay. If I could interview the organizer, that would be awesome. Someone I interviewed earlier tonight said that a girl named Wesley Christensen. Wesley, a girl's name. That's good. She runs this, along with this guy named Dan. So I gotta find out who they are. Maybe do a little phone interview. Because this took a lot of organization. A lot. And I'm so glad I got a room at the Gold Strike Casino.
Hey, Wesley, it's Colleen Lindell.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Are you able to talk right now? Is it, convenient for you?
Yeah.
After some direct messaging via Instagram and a few emails, I finally reached Wesley, my missing link.
I literally couldn't find any information on you guys. Most people said, I found out through Facebook. And then 3 people were like, Wesley Christensen. And I'm like, who is it? It was like a magical name to me.
So crazy. I can't believe that people, I felt so small in the whole scheme of things. But I when we went to the festival, I had at least 10 or 11 people come up to me and be like, I'm here because I follow your Instagram. And I was like, whoa, that is insane.
So the vision of RiSE started with 4 people. Dan Hill, Jeff Home, Wesley Christensen, and her husband, Bronson Christensen. The four of them had all been in Thailand to film Dan Hill's event, the Electric Run, which is a glow-in-the-dark 5K run based on different themes. And while they were there, they also filmed the Lantern Festival, Ep6.
It happened literally the morning after we saw the Lantern Festival there, and within 2 weeks, like, the ball was rolling. The permitting to do something like this in the United States, there was never anything like it done before. Like, it's just a fire hazard. I mean, the hazards are a mile long. Every detail was thought and planned out and engineered. Like, every single detail. And my husband, he's the designer. So it's like aesthetically it had to look a certain way. It had to work a certain way for the engineers. It had to function a certain way, like with the weather. I mean, we couldn't control that. Like, that alone was so crazy. And then just the production side of it alone. And how do we even get people to know about this? Like, we were 4 people at that time. All like had an Instagram. And that was it. It was so nuts. So Dan Hill, he has done events before. It couldn't have happened without him, really, because he had thrown large events. He knew how to work with mass amounts of people, and he's kind of like the logistic event guy. But we were just getting the feel of it. I was to this day, I was all about the feeling. Like, I just wanted it to feel good. I wanted people to have fun. Like, I just wanted people to feel what I felt when I was there. So I just kind of wrote about it on my blog, talked about it to a few other bloggers, put it out on my Instagram, and then helped my husband and I just design the look of it.
Why did you guys decide to call it RiSE, capital R, little I, and then capital S and capital E?
This is a funny story. Or not so funny, but it is funny that someone's asking it. We always wondered if people would ask. So we were in Thailand. We all got into a car, and we all had like this crazy, like, nervous, excited energy because we knew that something was just going to come from it. Like, we'd been talking about it, we went to it, and once we experienced it, we were like, oh my gosh, like, we all knew, everyone in the car, like, we're doing this, we're bringing it to America, we don't know how, but we're like, we're going to do this, what are we going to name it? There were so many different ideas. Everything was like lights or like fire or something. We're like, no, we can't name it fire hazards, or it just went on for the whole entire night. Everyone was leaving the very next morning, so there was only 4 of us left. So we had time to eat breakfast that morning, and we went to this place that we went to in Chiang Mai every morning. It's called John's Place. We were in the car, and we drove by a billboard, and we're just, like, racking our brains. Like, what could we call this thing? Like, Festival of Lights? No, like, nothing fit. And he looks up, and he sees a billboard, and it's in English, and it says RiSE. And he goes, what about RiSE? We finally were sitting down at the breakfast place. Bronson, my husband, he's like jotting down all of these different ideas, and Dan reiterated. He was like, I think it's got to be RiSE. So he just drew it as it is, like with the capital R, little I, capital SE, and it just looked right. Literally, he drew it on a napkin. We all saw it, and we're like, okay, it's called RiSE. Like, that's what it is. It's got to be RiSE. And then when we got home and we started messing with the logo, it looks like, I don't know if you've noticed, but the eye, it looks like a lantern. Have you ever noticed that?
God. No, I didn't notice that. I'll look at it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So the top of the eye looks like a lantern.
So for you personally, when you were in Thailand, did you have a spiritual experience with it? Like, what did it mean for you when you were there?
It was on a totally different level for me because my husband and I mean, to get personal, we like got married really young, had a baby really, really young. It put us behind in life. Like, we were hustling, right? We were 20 years old. We had $400 to our name, and all of a sudden we were like getting married and had a baby. Like, right off the bat, we were just behind. We still had to get an education. We still had to work, and then all of a sudden we were parents, and we had all these dreams and aspirations, but we had a baby, and that came first. And it still comes first. Our kids just, no matter what we want to do, we put their needs ahead of ours, and we choose to. It's not like we feel like we're obligated to. It's just naturally how we feel. We didn't go on a honeymoon. I mean, we just worked, like, all through my pregnancies, working up to the last day I gave birth, and then, like, having to go back to work 6 weeks after. All of a sudden to find ourselves in a position where, first off, we traveled. It was our first trip. and we had been married 7 years at that point. So it was our first trip without our kids, like without our family. Like him and I were going somewhere overseas, and we were working, but it was still like a big trip for us. And it's where we always wanted to go. Like if we had our top pick was Thailand, and we never knew how we were going to get there, but we all of a sudden found ourselves there, and it was for free. Like it was mind-blowing to us, like how we even got there. So I remember being at the festival. My husband was filming the entire event, but there was a moment that I remember, like, he was like, okay, let's put down the camera and just take it in. Like, let's not work. Let's just watch this for 5 minutes. Let's just be quiet and watch it. And I remember putting it down and him looking at me and I'm looking at him, and then we have all these new friends that we just made, and it was just like a feeling of everything is going to be okay. Like, it was kind of, the feeling for me was, I always wanted this, and I never knew how I would get it, but I was just a good person. I felt like I had been a good person. I tried hard my whole entire life, and it worked out. And it was like that resonating feeling for me that it just always works out, even if it's hard.
I think it's really interesting that you guys wanted to share this with Americans. Most people would just sit around and be like, this would be so cool if it was in the United States. But you guys are like, how can we make this happen in our country? And what made you want to share that with people here?
For me personally, I know that I just thought of other people like us. People who may not necessarily have ever had the opportunity to travel, thousands and thousands of miles away to see the most beautiful thing in the world. Because I didn't know if I would ever get that. And I remember just thinking of my mom and dad and being like, I wish they were here. I want them to see that. And my siblings, I wanted them to see it so bad. And I just couldn't foresee us ever getting there all together, all at once. But I know that if it was right around the corner, or a 6-hour drive, I could be like, okay, let's all get in the car, let's go. Like, it made it possible. I want to go back so bad. I cannot wait to do the Arizona. I don't know which one we're going to do this year. It's either the Arizona one or the Mojave Desert one.
There's 2 now?
Yeah, there's 2 this year.
Wesley, you were part of starting a legacy.
Wow, I don't know about.
I think so. And it's happening again this year. It didn't fizzle out. And now there's 2 of them.
And now there's 2.
I mean, what's up with that?
I know. And now there's 2. Every year if it just doubles. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Every year if it doubles. That would be so insane.
I was young.
To see photos from RiSE 2014, including Erin holding her lantern with a big smile on her face, and Kirsten lighting her lantern with her picture of the embracing couple, go to my website, colleenlindell.com. You can also find links to the RiSE 2014 video, Wesley's blog, the annual Lantern Festival in Thailand, Ep6, and Dan Hill's event, the Electric Run. RiSE Mojave takes place this October 11th, and there are still tickets for sale. RiSE Arizona has been moved to 2016 due to safety logistics. Thank you to Stephanie, Michael, Joe, Kirsten, Erin, Micah, Dan Hill, the entire RiSE Fest crew, and Wesley Christensen. Thank you guys for taking a chance and sharing your stories with me. Together, we rise.